It started like any other excavation. A group of Israeli and American archaeologists had been working quietly near a forgotten section of the Judean Hills. No press coverage, no official backing, just whispers of an ancient scroll that hinted at a hidden chamber beneath the ruins. Most thought it was just another dead end, until their ground-penetrating radar showed something unnatural. Under 30 feet of stone and dirt was a massive rectangular chamber, perfectly cut, untouched for what might have been thousands of years. The shape, the alignment, the measurements, they matched descriptions found in biblical texts. And that's when one of the team members whispered the words no one dared say aloud. Could it be the Ark? They kept the site secret, covering the chamber's entrance before the government could intervene. But what they unearthed inside wasn't just ancient. It was unlike anything they'd ever seen. And then, something even stranger happened when they opened the vault. The vault was sealed with limestone slabs that hadn't been disturbed in centuries, maybe longer. It took hours to pry it open. What they saw inside made grown men freeze. A golden chest about 4 feet long, 2 feet wide, and 2.5 feet high, ornately carved. 2 winged figures on top, no corrosion, no signs of decay, just gleaming gold, untouched by time. When one of the archaeologists reached toward it, every electronic device nearby went dead. No power. Cameras stopped recording. Lights dimmed. It was as if the chest absorbed energy. Some of the crew wanted to leave immediately. Others insisted it had to be a coincidence. They lifted the object just enough to confirm what they already feared. This wasn't a replica. It wasn't a hoax. And then they noticed the marks etched along the base in ancient Hebrew. But the next discovery would shake their trust in everything they thought they knew about this artifact. The inner walls of the chamber were covered in strange black soot, like something had burned violently, but the Ark, completely untouched. No ash on it, no scorch marks, as if it had been protected while everything around it was consumed. There were bones too, human remains, several skeletons, all slumped against the far wall. Some were curled in a fetal position, others stretched out mid-sprint. No signs of trauma, just death. Sudden and silent. That's when one of the archaeologists remembered the old stories of men who touched the Ark and fell dead on the spot. It was just myth, they'd always said, until now. The team left the chamber shaken, but when they reviewed one of the surviving analog recordings, they caught something in the footage, a low hum, almost like a chant, that no one had heard in person. And that hum led to an even more chilling theory. Back at the lab, scientists tried to analyze the Ark, but nothing worked. Not X-rays, not chemical analysis, even the materials didn't make sense. The gold alloy on the surface had no modern comparison, and underneath it, the wood lining didn't match any species on record. But the strangest thing, it radiated a weak electromagnetic field, constant, pulsing, like a heartbeat. Over the next few days, everyone who had touched it began to experience bizarre symptoms, vivid dreams, nosebleeds, even temporary blindness. One man collapsed mid-sentence, claiming to have heard voices chanting from within the gold. Still, they pressed forward, until the government arrived, shut everything down, and took the Ark away. Except, one scientist had copied part of the scroll found beside it, and that scroll led to a discovery buried deeper than anyone imagined. Within 24 hours of the government's arrival, the entire team was separated, interrogated, and placed under strict gag orders. Labs were raided, equipment confiscated, satellite footage wiped. It was as if the entire site had never existed. One whistleblower, a technician named Daniel Knox, fled the country and posted a grainy video online. In it, he described how soldiers escorted the Ark into a lead-lined crate, marked only with a strange black insignia. The next day, his account was deleted, his phone disconnected. He hasn't been seen since. But just before disappearing, Daniel sent a message to a friend in Jerusalem, along with a copy of the ancient scroll. And what that scroll revealed sent a small team racing to a site never before considered. The scroll mentioned a second hiding place, beneath the mount where 2 temples fell. That could only mean one thing, the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. But no one had ever dared dig there. Political tension, religious significance, and historical weight made it the most protected piece of ground on Earth. Still, the wording was clear. The scroll referenced a chamber of mirrors below the foundation stone, sealed in the days of Jeremiah. A controversial professor from Tel Aviv, who had long been dismissed as a conspiracy theorist, had proposed this theory decades ago. No one listened. Until now. Using underground imaging tech smuggled in piece by piece, a team scanned beneath the mount. What they found stunned even the skeptics. Hollow pockets, right where the scroll described. But there was something else. A strange magnetic reading unlike anything natural. That magnetic field would soon reveal another long-buried secret hidden in plain sight for centuries. Historians had always marveled at certain artifacts in the Israel Museum, odd relics with no provenance, just labeled as ritual objects or temple fragments. But after comparing symbols from the scroll with museum records, one researcher noticed something odd. An artifact long dismissed as ornamental, a gold-plated slab etched with obscure symbols, matched a drawing in the scroll. It wasn't just a decoration, it was a map, a directional marker pointing straight toward the underground chamber beneath the Temple Mount. The symbols formed a pattern, a star overlaid with a winding path. When traced, it aligned perfectly with old Crusader-era tunnels, mostly sealed off. It wasn't coincidence. It was a coded path to something bigger. And the path, it turns out, had already been walked by a mysterious group tied to one of the oldest legends surrounding the Ark. For centuries, Ethiopian priests claimed the Ark had been taken to Axum, a guarded chapel there, known only to a few, supposedly housed it under armed protection by a chosen guardian who could never leave. Most Western scholars dismissed the claim, but fresh evidence from the scroll connected this legend to Jerusalem, mentioning the lion's branch that fled south carrying the fire of heaven. That lion's branch was a known reference to the Solomonic dynasty. The implication? The Ark had been moved temporarily to Ethiopia and returned later, in secret. Photos from the Axum Chapel showed a mysterious empty pedestal surrounded by scorch marks. Something had been there, and whatever it was, it hadn't been gone long. But why was it brought back, and by whom? A cryptic letter from an American intelligence agent would soon reveal the next piece of the puzzle. In the early 1940s, a classified mission led a group of Allied operatives to the Middle East, reportedly searching for cultural treasures of strategic significance. Their notes, declassified only decades later, mentioned an unusual container recovered from a dig site in Egypt, but never logged into any official museum. One name kept appearing in the files, Dr. Emery Foster, a real archaeologist and the rumored inspiration for Indiana Jones. His final report described something eerily similar to the Ark, golden, radioactive, and unfit for transport. But here's the kicker. Foster's report ends abruptly. The last page is blacked out, the location redacted, and the object never mentioned again, until a retired US agent, haunted by secrets he could no longer keep, mailed a package to a journalist in Jerusalem. That package contained coordinates, and a photo that should have been impossible. The journalist, David Levon, didn't believe it at first. A blurry Polaroid showing what looked like a golden chest, surrounded by men in hazmat suits. The back of the photo was labelled simply, Sinai, 1968. Alongside it, a map marked with circles, one of which matched the recent radar scan beneath the Temple Mount. Levon followed the lead quietly, fearing interception. He met with retired Mossad officers, archaeologists, and even a former Vatican archivist who'd seen similar photos decades ago. According to the agent's letter, the Ark had been moved at least 3 times since World War II, but now it was back in the original chamber for a reason no one understood. They're preparing for something, the letter warned. Something soon. And just when Levon thought he had reached the bottom of the mystery, a box of ancient coins arrived on his doorstep with no return address. The coins were ancient, silver shekels from the Second Temple period, but they weren't museum quality. They were pristine, like they'd never been handled, buried, or exposed to the elements. Experts couldn't explain it. Alongside them was a scrap of parchment with coordinates, matching a dig site recently shut down by Israeli authorities without explanation. Levon managed to sneak in, disguised as a surveyor. What he found was a site hastily buried, concrete poured over the entrance, but some of the gear left behind suggested something had been taken fast. Whispers spread among the artifact black market. A private collector in Switzerland had allegedly paid over $10 million for a relic not of this earth. And the people moving these relics? Not just archaeologists, mercenaries, intelligence agents, and private contractors. Someone was collecting ancient power sources. And one name kept coming up, an institution that had always denied its involvement. It wasn't just hearsay. There were actual documents, smuggled out of the Vatican's secret archives by a former monk turned whistleblower. He claimed the church had known about the Ark's location since the 12th century, that several popes had sanctioned covert expeditions to recover it. All had failed. But one letter, dated 1592, stood out. Addressed to a cardinal in Jerusalem, it described the sacred flame under the stone, guarded by light that blinds. It referred to the Ark not as a myth, but as a living force, and it warned that moving it could trigger events beyond human control. The Vatican's silence wasn't accidental, it was strategic. They knew the power that sat beneath the Holy Land, and they weren't the only ones watching. Soon, mysterious footage would surface, showing something that defied science and belief. The tunnels under Jerusalem are a maze, some natural, others carved out over millennia. A team of freelance explorers, equipped with night vision and thermal cameras, captured something chilling on video. Flashes of blue and white light appearing out of nowhere. No known electrical sources, no heat signatures, just bursts of light, almost like plasma, pulsing along the walls. One man collapsed during filming, claiming he felt something pass through him, like a wave of static and ice. He was later diagnosed with severe neural trauma, despite no injuries. The footage was sent anonymously to Levon, who verified its authenticity. When slowed down frame by frame, one burst of light showed a shape, brief and barely visible. But it resembled the top of the Ark, with the winged figures crackling in energy. And in the next chamber, they found something even more impossible. Among the oldest plans of the Temple Mount, stored in dusty drawers of an Ottoman archive in Istanbul, were hand-drawn blueprints of an inner chamber, never excavated, never acknowledged. But one of the scroll fragments found near the Ark described that same layout, with chilling accuracy. It referenced rooms of resonance, designed to contain what the scroll called Hakol Elohim, the voice of God, a force not meant to be heard by mortal ears. The chamber was circular, lined with polished stone to reflect sound and energy. Essentially, a biblical Faraday cage. Blueprints suggested the chamber had mechanisms, levers and locks, designed to seal the Ark if it ever became unstable. This wasn't just storage, it was containment. And according to the scroll, the locks were failing. What happened to the team that discovered them would terrify even the most hardened skeptic. They were professionals, 4 archaeologists and 2 military escorts. They had clearance, equipment, and orders to document the chamber marked in the blueprints. They entered on a Monday. They never came out. 2 days later, a backup team arrived. They found only tools, no signs of struggle, no blood, no tracks, just 6 flashlights laid neatly in a circle. In the center, a scorched patch of stone that wasn't there before. Security footage glitched the moment the first team entered the chamber. Audio logs captured faint whispering in an unknown language. Some said it sounded like Aramaic. Others claimed it was nothing human. The chamber has been sealed ever since. But a note was later found in one of the missing archaeologists' homes, written days before the expedition. It read, "If we don't come back, don't open it again." But someone did. After the team's disappearance, the Israeli government sealed the chamber with reinforced concrete, but not before a final attempt was made to scan the space using long-range acoustic sensors. The results sent chills through everyone involved. They recorded low-frequency vibrations, repeating patterns that resembled human speech. Experts filtered the noise and enhanced it. What they heard were fragmented phrases in ancient Hebrew, phrases that translated to, "Do not wake the fire, and he is watching." Some dismissed it as geological interference. Others believed it was residual energy, an echo of something ancient, something intelligent. The scroll had warned of the Ark being more than a relic. It was a guardian, and if it was alive in any sense of the word, the next revelation confirmed that it might not be alone. Documents recovered from a previously unknown Dead Sea cave revealed something shocking. References to not 1 but 3 sacred vessels. The flame, the scroll, and the voice. The Ark was just one part of a triad, and all 3 were said to function together as a divine mechanism. The scroll was believed to contain the original laws, not the tablets of Moses, but something older. The voice, no one knew what it meant. Until a relic was found deep beneath Mount Nebo, etched with concentric circles and symbols matching those found on the Ark's base. This wasn't just an object, it was part of a system, and if the Ark was reactivated, intentionally or not, the others might be responding. Across the globe, reports began flooding in, lights, vibrations, even mass hallucinations near other ancient sites. And suddenly, the real stakes of the Ark's discovery became terrifyingly clear. For centuries, the Ark was a symbol, a myth, but now it was proven real and active. That changed the game, not just for archaeologists and historians, but for world powers, religious institutions, and intelligence agencies. What if the Ark was not built by men at all? What if it was left behind by something older or otherworldly? The scrolls spoke of the fire carried on wings and voices that spoke from the storm, descriptions that eerily echo modern accounts of unidentified aerial phenomena. If the Ark was a device, not a relic, what was it made to do? Some believed it was a weapon, others a communicator, or a seal keeping something locked away. But if the wrong hands activated it, it might not just be secrets that are unleashed. Since the discovery, anyone who spoke out disappeared. Levon's emails were erased. The whistleblowers vanished. Journalists were warned off. A senior researcher in London died mysteriously after publishing a theory linking the Ark to gamma bursts. Governments denied everything. But leaked documents showed funding cuts, cancelled programs, and silent cooperation between rival nations. They weren't arguing over ownership. They were afraid. Afraid of what the Ark might do and what might come looking for it. And yet, the final piece of evidence could not be buried. A final video surfaced, smuggled out of the sealed Jerusalem site, revealing what had been hidden in the chamber beneath the stone. The video was short, less than a minute, but it changed everything. It showed the Ark, glowing faintly, floating above the ground. Around it, symbols on the chamber walls shimmered like fire, and at the center of the room, what looked like a tear in space. Not a shadow, not a reflection. A ripple, a doorway? The camera shook. A loud hum filled the air, and then the screen went black. The message was clear. The Ark had awakened. Whether it was calling something or warning us, no one knew. But one thing was certain. The Ark of the Covenant had never been lost. It was waiting.